Hello and welcome to Dario's comic school, and today we look at a new comic book idea I have, and it's called Dario Hawaii, and I will give you insights into the development of the stories. I have a lot of stories I want to do and I'm still doing while working normal jobs to get the cash in, mostly art jobs, but yeah, there is the last pickup artist, which this morning I had the intuition to finish. There is a young Meccano stuff like Mad Max meets American Pie, and a lot of other comics which are very fleshed out and connected. And a new one is coming through me. I say through me because I don't know. I think stories sometimes give you a compass to navigate not only the present but also the future. And so this is a future story of myself and maybe where I want to go. And I was just putting down stuff. First, I was thinking about a comic like Golden Boy, like where maybe a future me and some love encounters, and he's a rich playboy and so on. But like it didn't stay there, and that's a good thing because somehow it came to me that maybe, and I know that Jordan Peterson has something called the future authoring program, which is really good because let's say right now you're stuck and you don't know what to do with your life. And so you envision a new self and work towards that, like eating healthy, working out. And last year, due to COVID, I went through a depression and I was so low. And so the only thing that kept my star, kept me aligned with the stars was this vision of maybe, like, if the stuckness was the lowest point, maybe there could be a new high point, which I could aim to be. And I envisioned a character named Dario Hawaii, and he's an artist. He already has mastered what I am mastering right now, or hope to master, like doing something he likes and make a living from it, while being also physically in shape and traveling the world. Like, it's probably a power fantasy born out of powerlessness. But this guy kept me going, a certain version of my future self. And most people always ask, and I should make a video from that, like, I'm an artist, and most people ask, can you make a living from that? And the answer is yes, if you're good and if you can market it, or if you have built up your audience. And that's mostly the problem, because like being an artist, being a craftsman is just one side of the coin, but that's a different discussion. And then he says, yeah, I make comics for a living. And that's so cool because like making comics for a living is almost shamed, like nobody enables you, and that gives me the fuel, like Cameron Poe in Con Air is fueled by, man, he wants to see his daughter, and I want to see also the good stuff, and the things, maybe sometimes dreams change, and sometimes they're very delusional, but to have a heroic view of yourself, for molding yourself, like, sure, it can be bad, but it's not as bad as staying all night in bed and smoking weed or playing video games or just having a dull life. So why not swing for the fucking fences? And then this guy made millions and billions and is helping people with his artwork and with his stuff, and he's like a rich playboy, maybe like something like a Batman. And I thought, man, would it be cool, like he's an artist and he plays at night the guitar and he dates all these beautiful babes. He's everything I want to aspire. And now I think, oh, well, that's a loser's fantasy. Yes, it is. But what if I can become this guy? And then at a certain point, like, sure, I'm artistic, not autistic, artistic. But I'm also like very into story, and I'm very into the past, the present, and future. And I think, and I know that I have the eyes for certain things, like, are we living in a matrix? Is the things the society tell us, is it really all good, or are we just um, a battery in the system, and so on? What's about alien technology and all of that stuff? And so I was kind of intrigued by, I have here this Nathan Never character. And this Nathan Never, this is like issue 51, but and I'm more into science fiction. I'm not so much into horror, but you will see how this all blends together. He's an agent for an agency, for a private agency. He's like a hired gun. It's like a noir comic, but not in the 1920s or 1930s. This is like more advanced. It's in the future. And so he's kind of a detective, but in a dark dystopian future where corporations do human experiments on prisoners, or there are cities under the seas, and people living on the moon. But it's about very human stuff. It's about greed, getting your needs met, money, power, some Illuminatis in the background, government, war, like all of that stuff. And we're navigating through strange times. And so let me show you something here. I don't know if the light is good or perfect. I mean, I have a very bright light coming from outside, but I hope this is like my my sketchbook. Here I write sometimes stuff, and also like drawings like this. Like, I don't know what I've written here, but it's definitely like thinking, where's our attention go? Some things that lead to aging, and if we can master this, can we live long enough? And the question was this: is this guy maybe a rich playboy, but is he also important? Not important. He is important, but is he also immortal because he found something ancient, but not something that is unattainable? Is he maybe immortal because he fasts, or he eats just a little, or he knows what to eat, or he meditates, or he works out? Like, I'm really thinking this is like a comic, like a Tony Robbins book, but also like Batman, but also like science fiction in the likes of Blade Runner or something like that. And it asks things about duality. Are we in a trap? Are we in a matrix? What about aging? Is it exhausting? What about soul? What about dark and light? Angels and devils? And it's a mixture of like, maybe like God versus Satan, but what is reality? And maybe he becomes like the next man, the leap, and about aliens and all of that stuff. And it sounds really so, oh man, like, what are you talking about? But it's really, I think it will be really grounded like in this life. Like, I imagine it to be a guy just like finding a good business and then evolving that, and at a certain point just mastering his body and his life. But then in the process he becomes somehow superhuman, or maybe that's what we all meant to be. Like, he becomes something like a superhero, someone who can see shadows, and that's what I was thinking. Some Primal Rage, 90s Prophecy, James Bond type character, Bruce Wayne, someone who's by day an artist and by night he fights the evil. and the evil is not singular. I mean, maybe it's different governments. Maybe it's a AI that's taking place. Maybe it's like demons and all of that stuff. And so you have the super rich playboy, which just wants to enjoy life and has a long life because he managed to unravel some simple mechanics of the body, but then in the process he also he has time on his hands. He doesn't have to work, and maybe he doesn't really age, and so he rises in his consciousness and then starts to see things in the world. And he takes part definitely on the good side of it because of his backstory, which is kind of like mine. And maybe this new rich guy challenges the Jeff Bezoses, the Elon Musks, the Mark Zuckerbergs. And I have written down here John Constantine, Corto Maltese, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and not so much the X-Men, but also like, you know what I mean? And then I had a different idea, like what if when he fights the shadows, he doesn't just fight them as himself, and he's definitely also very skilled in mixed martial arts and stuff like that. Maybe this is like some Mission Impossible stuff, but what if it becomes supernatural? What if he can change his body into like a beast? I've written down here the Wendigo from Marvel. I was thinking about a white big feral beast, and that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so far that's the story. I don't know if this was interesting. Definitely that's what I will aim, but it's just growing. It's just like a story that is evolving, and it's about a guy who was a normal guy and then started to change his life, and then he found a way to live very long and to become very wealthy. And that's when then things started to click, and he became a knower of the unknown. Like, what is AI doing? What about like Chinese governments, or what about world governments? What is in the hidden? What about aliens? What about technology? What's going on? And what side can he take? And he's not superhuman. He's just a normal human who has his mind, body, and everything together, and who wants to fight for freedom, sovereignty of the people, and the good. But maybe, already there is the conflict, because the other side will fight for control and enslavement, always. Like, the dark side is always about determinism, control, fear. And the good side is always about you choose love and free will, like always, which makes you a stable guy, and the other thing makes you a slave or less than your true self. So we'll see us in the next video. See ya.